Croft in North Yorkshire is the latest stop on the 750 Motor Club's tour of the UK. And in today's programme we'll see action from 9 different categories, covering single-seaters, sports cars and saloons. The 2-mile former airfield circuit is a lap of 2 halves, all about power for the first 50%, then about handling and a technical section to end the lap. As ever, you'll see the best of the action here, but extended highlights can be seen on the 750 Motor Club website, 750mc.co.uk. We open the programme with action from the Tagiwa M3 Cup Series and the Super Cooper Cup Series for the R53 Mini Cooper S model as well. It's the M3s, the E46 3.2 litre cars that line up on the front of the grid for their 6th race of the season. We had a race yesterday that was won by Adam Shepherd from Luke Sedgwickowski and Matthew Wallace. Amongst the minis, it was Andy Knowlton that took a convincing win from son and father team Sam Hathaway and Martin Hathaway. Green flags wave at the back, the car's ready to go with Carl Shield in the red car on pole position. He was a non-finisher yesterday after a last lap incident, but the red lights go on and they go out now, and in the minis a very good start you can see there by Andy Knowlton. Already he's streaking away from the rest of the cars, but from the outside of the front row among the M3s it's Adam Shepherd, yesterday's winner, that takes the lead of the race as they head through Clervaux Corner for the first time. Carl Grimsley there in the last of the M3s being challenged through Clervaux by Knowlton in that purple coloured Mini. It's his debut in this particular series, and it is just a series of races at this point for these cars. Full championship status not yet granted, but something to aim for next season. So as the leaders come down towards Tower Bend for the first time, it's Adam Shepherd in the lead of the race. Second is Carl Shield, third is Luke Sedgwickowski. They've changed there for fourth. I think it looked like John Brown was going to lose out there to the car of, I think, number 78, Kevin Dengate. Number 5 amongst the minis there is Stephen Rose. But heading up towards Barcroft then for the first time is Adam Shepherd, and look how he slides that car around. The top 3 already getting away from the rest. It is Dengate in 4th, John Brown in 5th position. There's the battle going on between Peter Isherwood and Matthew Wallace, who was 3rd yesterday. And there you can see the minis queuing up behind that Carl Grimsley BMW. Into the complex for the first time go the leaders then, and it is Shepherd, Shield and Sedgwickowski still leading the way in this Tagiwa M3 Cup Series race. Bit of a lock up there for number 28, and that is Martin Hathaway. Oh, and an off too, that's for Peter Isherwood, number 8. He's had a half spin at the complex and has to rejoin. On board then with number 7, John Brown, the Glaswegian. His first season of racing, someone off up ahead. Now that I think was Kevin Dengate kicking up the dirt, but he seems to have continued. Dengate got ahead of Brown on the previous lap at Tower Corner, of course, through the chicane, just missing that stack of tyres there, and then down the straight towards Tower Bend as the minis making their way through Hawthorne, and some good scrapping going on down the order there. That's number 5, Stephen Rose, and it looked like he was doing battle there with the number 11 car of Will Sharp. So top 3 amongst the M3s continuing to get away as they go through City. Now there's yellow flags there. There's a car off into the oilseed rape on the inside of the circuit, and that, I think, judging by the lap charts, is Carl Grimsley that's got himself well and truly buried there. We saw a few cars go off into the crops yesterday as well and come back decorated in yellow petals. So there is the 33 car of Luke Sedgwickowski, the man from Tagiwa, the series backers, and he has had a strong start to the season. He's had, I think, 4 podium finishes in the 5 races that have been held so far. There's number 69, Elliot Dunmore, a winner twice on the last occasion that these cars were out. That was at Brands Hatch at the end of April. So there's 33 Sedgwickowski. These cars really spectacular, but tightly controlled as well. Engines and the ECU are sealed after an initial power run. They were a standard gearbox, control, suspension and brakes, and Nankang tyres. So high performance GT type cars, but within tightly controlled regulations, and it's proving to be quite an exciting series of races. Shepherd, the race leader, won both races at Donington Park at the beginning of the season, but Brian Chandler, who's not here this weekend, won both at Brands Hatch in April. So there's Kevin Dengate going a bit wide in 4th position, as Shepherd continuing to push on, the car moving around quite a lot there as he heads through the fast right-hander at Barcroft, and Carl Shield is sliding his way through as well. Shield, you'll see, has the novice cross on the back of his car, the black cross on the yellow background. In yesterday's race though, he gave last year's Takiwa Civic Cup champion Adam Shepherd a real run for his money, especially in the closing stages. Got the lead, but then there was a last lap incident, and it was Shepherd that came home to win from Sedzikowski and Wallace. Shield will be hoping for better fortune today. What I think is only his 3rd race meeting, something like that. Still quite inexperienced. So over the line go the first 3, a gap back to Kevin Dengate in 4th position. Down through Clervaux Corner to begin another lap here in this 18-minute plus 1 lap race here at Croft in North Yorkshire. It's a beautiful day. Seeing some of the cars further back there. That's the 15 car of Jamie Ingram. And there's number 7 Brown, who's dropped back a little bit as this race has gone on. Another newcomer to motorsport, to circuit racing certainly this season. Sandwiched between them is number 72 Matthew Wallace, the 34-year-old IT company director from St Albans, who's raced MR2s for 5 years, but back on board we go with John Brown as they head up to Tower Bend here. Under braking for this right-hander, not a lot of run off to the left-hand side of the circuit, but directly ahead you've got the Farmers Field. You don't want to end up in that. Onto this stretch now, past the coppice on the right-hand side, then it's this left and right flick, not for the faint-hearted at Jim Clark S's, then a short straight up towards Barcroft, the right-hander, fast right-hander. It kind of puts your car in the wrong position on the road for Sonny and settles the car. You'll see the car's possibly not getting that close to the apex in some cases. Amongst the R53 minis, the battle is on between son and father Sam and Martin Hathaway once again, and it's Sam ahead of Martin on this occasion. But Martin has had more podium finishes so far this year. He has had 3 to Sam's 2. Wallace here putting some pressure on number 15 at Jamie Ingram, another driver that has come into the Takiwa M3 Cup Series from a background racing in Mazda MX-5s. Along the start and finish straight they'll go once more. 3.2 litre engines, lots of power underneath the bonnet of these rear-wheel drive BMWs. Turning their way through Clervaux, avoiding the gravel trap on the left-hand side of the circuit. Wallace only a couple of car lengths behind Ingram. The car, again, you can just see moving around quite a bit as he turns his way through Hawthorne and the chicane. And the drivers, some more experienced than others in the M3 Cup Series so far, have said that they found the M3 Cup car quite a challenge to get to grips with. They've tried lots of different things on setup. Whatever they do, it doesn't actually seem to make much difference to the overall lap time. Now look up ahead there, a problem because Ingram spins. Now was there a little bit of contact? It was hard to tell from that on-board shot. It was Wallace though that was chasing after Ingram. Certainly Wallace has gone through. Ingram spinning to the infield. Yellow flags waved by the marshals. He will rejoin. Still Sam Hathaway ahead of Martin Hathaway amongst the minis. Up front though it's Andy Knowlton, as it was in yesterday's race, the ex-Golf GTI Mark II racer making his racing return. There he is now in actual fact. Dunmore, it is in second place, has kept him a lot more honest this time as 15 Jamie Ingram goes through. Ingram trying to recover some of that lost ground after the spin, and that's compromised Dunmore a bit. I think he was about to challenge Knowlton there for the lead, but it's compromised him rather. He's going to go back through on the inside as he has a look at the left-handed hairpin, the final corner of the lap. Down the straight, the BMW should be able to pull away from the Mini, and he does, and that is going to be a bit of a problem for Dunmore in terms of trying to get back on terms with Andy Knowlton, who's leading the Super Cooper Cup part of this race. So Ingram on the recovery drive then. There's Knowlton. See Isherwood, who had that spin earlier on, just a little bit ahead of him. Knowlton sporting the number 53. And here are the two leaders now. Look, it's got much closer as we go on to the final lap, because Carl Shield is with Adam Shepherd at Sunny Corner. Now, this was where an incident occurred yesterday. They both slide their way out of Sunny onto this straight, just down a slight slope on their way into the left-hander. The first of 3 corners at the complex that get tighter and tighter as you go around. Right-hander now, then it's the very slow left-handed hairpin to end the lap. Carl Shield is not close enough, I think, to throw a move up the inside there. Can he win the drag race to the line as they try and get the power down? He's not quite going to do it, so Adam Shepherd is going to take the checkered flag for a double win this weekend in the Tagiwa M3 Cup Series. Carl Shield taking second place, but Shepherd now has 4 wins for the season. And the results show that Shepherd did indeed get the win by 4 tenths of a second in the end over Carl Shield. Luke Sedjakowski in the end 20 seconds back in 3rd position. In 8th overall, Andy Knowlton was the top R53 runner, from Elliot Dunmore in 2nd and Sam Hathaway 3rd. There you can see the rest of the Mini Cooper S runners, and indeed Carl Grimsley, who after his spin into the crops brought the car home in 15th position. Adam Shepherd, winner of the second Tagiwa M3 Cup race of the weekend, but like yesterday, you had a decent lead, but it evaporated as the race went on.
Yeah, we struggle over a race distance with the car. I was told I had the fastest lap by 7 tenths of a second, and then 6-7 laps into the race, the car just goes away from me and we start sliding around. So I'm going to have to try and cure that somehow. But other than that, it was a good race, yeah. I
guess everyone's learning still how to set these cars up.
Yes, the first rear-wheel drive car that we've set up before, everything we've done before is front-wheel drive. So yeah, which is a big learning curve for us too.
Well, Carl Shield, that's not a bad result for your second ever race meeting, is it?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Obviously, first race yesterday, we had a hard tussle with Adam, and unfortunately, it ended how it did. But this time, I want to keep on the track and I want to get a finish. I could have maybe put a lunge in on my last lap, but I thought, well, second's better than being in grass again.
Andy Knowlton, winner of the Super Cooper Cup part of the race. A bit of a closer race than you had yesterday.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting, I thought. Elliot pushed me all the way. Was just able to fend him off, so dead chuffed.
Did you find that you were falling over some of the BMWs at any point?
It was a bit of a crazy race with the BMWs, yeah. I think a few of them spun off and then they were trying to make their way back through the field, made things a bit difficult. Every time one seemed to come by, Elliot seemed to close up. So yeah, I'm sure it made it exciting for everyone to watch.
It's round 5 of 13 in the Disclock RGB Championship, and the front engine class in all 4 races so far has been won by the AB Arian of Matthew Higginson. So he leads the point standings from the likes of John Cutmore, Alistair Bolton and David Watson. Yesterday's race here, well, a number of cars were excluded post-race for failing the ride height check, but Billy Oldbone, the race winner, was reinstated after an appeal, so he took the win from John Cutmore and Scott Mattel, and Higginson 4th overall, again winning Class F. We're going to have a 13-minute plus 1 lap race for these cars. We've got Billy Oldbone and John Cutmore, the 2 Spire teammates, on the front row of the grid. Oliver Hewitt and Scott Mattel on row 2. As the lights go out, someone a little bit slower way further back, including Dan Lana, but a great start there by Oliver Hewitt, and he's taken the lead of the race from the second row. It's Cutmore that's going to try and go around the outside of him, though, to get the place back. We'll see if that works out as they work their way through Hawthorne. There's someone going off, I think that's the 66 car of Max Windhauser, and a spinner in the middle of the pack as well. That is the number 34 car of Stephen Dean from Cranbrook. He does a full 360 and gets going again without causing too much disruption. But it's Hewitt that leads. A great start from him. Oldbone is in second. Cutmore is third. Mittal fourth. And Al Bolton, who had a wretched day yesterday in his Spy, is fifth. There is the number 88 car of David Watson, the man that's playing second fiddle in the Class F for the front engine cars this season, to Matt Higginson. He'll be looking to make up some ground as the race goes on, but a great start there by Oliver Hewitt, who had to fight his way through from the back in the equivalent race last year, and now he's leading from the front this year. He's racing the Mattel MC53, a brand new car for this season, being run by VR Motorsport. Ollie, the 32-year-old from Barwell in Leicestershire, then leading the way from Billy Olbone, John Cutmore, Scott Mattel, Al Bolton. You'll see sporting some different bodywork on the front of his car. Has an off in practice yesterday and some spinners. 46 is Charlie Thomas in the Mattel. Oh, and Stephen Dean has gone around again. That's his second spin of the lap, but I think this time he was caught up really in somebody else's incident. They both get going and they'll have work to do from the back. Great noise these 1000cc 4-stroke motorcycle engines produce in either front-engined or rear-engined guise, and we've seen new developments this season, new cars. Oh, and a problem there for Al Bolton, that looked like. As I say, he's had a bit of a disappointing weekend, a crash in practice, a retirement from the first race, and now some smoke coming from the back of his car. He's ahead of Dan Larner, so that will be distracting him. Then you've got Matt Higgins in the front engine class leader, but look at that, a great performance there by Richard Webb, number 8 in the STM Phoenix, the driver from Uppingham in Rutland. He is going very well in only his second race in the RGBs. There's Larner, number 6 from Nuneaton, ahead of Higginson. Bolton, though, number 3, signifying he was 3rd in the championship last year, behind Scott Mattel and John Cutmore, who was 2nd. There's Webb, you can see him, he's just tucked in behind the car of John Watley, the 29-year-old aircraft engineer from Farnham, a new car that was built for this season, and John, a new driver, going pretty well in his first season of racing in that Spire. Still, though, a bit further ahead, that concern about the smoke from Al Bolton's car. I'm sure the officials will be having a look at that, just to see what might be causing it. Difficult to say from our trackside cameras. He turns his way through Clervaux now. Here comes then John Watley ahead of this next little group. Richard Webb is involved. And you've got a couple of the other Spires as well, including the 11 car of David Whale. 50 is Tim Hovard. And then the next of the front engine cars, but back up the front, down towards Tower Bend, it's still Hewitt clinging on in the Mattel from the new for 2016 Spire of Billy Olbone. And a change here is there, because that was 6, Dan Larner trying to go around the outside of Al Bolton, probably trying to get out of the way of that smoke, but it didn't work. He ran wide and lost a bit of ground. Look how Olbone is pushing on to try and get the lead back from number 30, Ollie Hewitt, then, as they turn their way towards Sunny in and then Sunny out. Number 36 is Ian Kempson. He's lost his frontal bodywork on the MK Contour in the early stages of this race. There's number 11, David Whale. It's his first meeting of the season, just ahead of 50, Tim Hovard. Down towards the complex they go, and the challenge on there from the number 44 car of Mark Betts, trying to get past that front engine machine of Richard Webb, the STM Phoenix. It's really close up behind him. He's built up a bit of a queue of cars behind him now, as Hewitt continues to lead. And now Cutmore pulling out of the slipstream and having a look at Olbone for second. Takes a lot of the curb on the apex at Clervaux. That sets him back a little bit. Now Olbone here has got a good run out of Hawthorns, I'd say. He's in behind Hewitt, looking back from Hewitt's car over the curb on the exit of the chicane, and Olbone in the tow here. He's getting closer and closer and closer. He's looking towards the right hand side. There is a gap there. He goes alongside under braking, and Olbone takes the lead of the race. The former 750 Formula champion from a couple of years ago had a win at Brands Hatch. He had a win yesterday, and now he's leading once again. His form from the off at Alton Park in the qualifying session for the opening meeting of the season looked like he might go on to dominate this year. It's not been that way yet due to a retirement at Alton and an exclusion in the first race at Brands, but Olbone looks like the quickest driver this season. But we're looking back now to see John Cutmore and Scott Mattel. That's from Ollie Hewitt's car, and Mattel there having a look at Cutmore as they came out of Sydney towards the complex. But the Suffolk man repels the Hampshire maths teacher. Meanwhile, in the background, I could see it looked like there might have been a place change going on there involving Al Bolton. And no, he's still there, still just ahead of Larner. But the first 4 quite closely packed as they go through to complete the lap. There is the 46 car, the Spire of the recovering Charlie Thomas, the software developer from Cambridge. And the 2013 Mattel car, formerly driven by Scott Mattel himself and Dan Larner. Hewitt's lost another place at Hawthorn now. Cutmore has gone through to take second place away, so the erstwhile leader is out. Contact there into the gravel, and that's number 11 David Whale. It's number 50 Tim Hovard. And more or less trying to go for the same piece of tarmac there as they went through the right-hander at Clairvaux, and the Spire and the Sabre T2A both out of the race. Fortunately, the gravel did its job. They scrubbed some speed off before they got to the barriers, so I think probably relatively minimal damage done, thankfully. Well, Kempson's aerodynamics are all over the place, as well. That probably demonstrates not a lot of grip at all, and he's gone way off at Sunny, off onto the old circuit there, when the Croft had a triangular layout. Hovard's car now being hauled out of the gravel trap to a place of safety. This will be being covered under double waved yellow flag, so no overtaking at that part of the circuit. Yellow's there as well because we have had a spin. That is for the number 68 car of Dominic Gilotti, who coming into this weekend was 6th in the championship and 3rd of the Class F cars. Sean Stafford Atkinson, number 69, the former low-cost pole position holder and podium finisher. She's not far off being lapped by race leader Billy Allbone, who's managed to pull away now from the second place man, which is his teammate at Spire, John Cutmore, and Mattel has got through to 3rd ahead of Hewitt. But let's have a look at this battle involving some of the lower placed front engine cars. That's 67 Kevin Bolton, 86 Stephen Bell, 22 has already been lapped. That is Kelvin Rawls, the 61-year-old from Ipswich, an ex-750 Formula racer from the 1970s. And an ex-750 Formula racer from the 2010s. Billy Allbone goes through to lap Sean Stafford Atkinson and has got those two on the front engine cars, which he may or may not get past before the end of the race. I don't think Billy Allbone's in the mood for taking any prisoners and thinking, well, I'll let these guys have one more lap of the race. He can't really afford to, because Cutmore is not that far behind. Up to the line then comes Billy Allbone to make it a hat-trick of wins in the Disclock RGB Championship. Here comes Higginson then. It's been a pretty quiet race for him in the end. We lost Al Bolton after 4 laps of the race, so that promoted Higginson, I should say, to 6th position overall, and he comfortably won Class F with Richard Webb 2nd and David Watson 3rd. Results time, Billy Allbone took the flag by 2.3 seconds from John Cutmore. Another 4 seconds behind we found Scott Mattel. Ollie Hewitt, after his early lead, eventually finished 4th ahead of Larner and Class F winner Higginson. John Watley taking 7th, a very respectable finish in his first season of racing against some very tough opposition. Best lap of the race went to Billy Allbone, not as quick as he went yesterday when he was in lap record form, but Higginson did get the Class F record, a 1:28.44.
Some hard work there to find a way past Ollie.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very competitive class. You know, all the cars are very tight. Just seems that we've been putting in that little bit of extra work at the minute. I mean, Tim Gray and Paul with the Spire Sports cars, they're just working fantastic at the minute.
And the Spires are on fire this weekend at Croft as well, with a 1-2 for the team again in race 2.
Yeah, for sure. It just seems that the car dialed into the track perfectly right from the beginning of the weekend. We've topped the timesheets every time we've been on the track. But we just got to make sure we keep going with that. We can't put our feet up.
And just talk us through the move for the lead then, because Ollie, as you said, drove a great race up until that point.
Sure, like I say, that car's very, very fast in a straight line. I knew how to outbrake him. I got my chance, I took it. My eyes didn't quite close, but you know, I managed to get through nice and clean and just maintain the gap then after that and bring it home.
John Cutmore then, 2nd place again here in race 2 at Croft. A 1-2 for Spire. Perfect day's work.
Yes, it's a good day. The car's fantastic. We're not quite there with it yet. There's a little bit more to come, but I mean they are on the money now. But we've got our work cut out with the Mattel car, and it's not going to be long before they're going to be all over us, and it's going to be a tough championship, I think, this year.
And that's something you're really looking forward to, isn't it? As the rest of us are, this fascinating fight really between the Mattels and the Spires.
Well, yes, and Al is in the first generation Spire, and he's messed around, but he's got that car really on it. So it is looking like a 4 or 5 way battle. So every weekend, it's it could be a new winner.
Scott Mattel then, 3rd place in race 2 at Croft, chasing those Spires home all the way to the end, but a really entertaining race nonetheless.
Yeah, it was a good race. It was great at the start. Ollie got a brilliant start in the other Mattel, got into the lead, so it was quite nice being all four of us right together. And he did a good job defending. We were having some fun there, and then everyone just sort of got past and it sort of opened up a little bit. I was struggling actually, to be honest. I've been struggling all weekend with some of the engine issues, but well done to Spire, and Billy drove really well today. So.
Well, Matt Higginson, once again a dominant race winner in the front engine class, but it's not easy work round here, is it? Tough track.
It's a very tough track. It's my first weekend ever here, so Friday test was my first time round. Really enjoyed it. Really bumpy, off cambers everywhere. Really suits me because I can handle that sort of thing. So, yeah, car's strong. We've been tweaking it all weekend. I think we've got the fastest lap. Well, it's lap record, but faster than we did yesterday. So, really pleased with what we've done.